Hey everybody, it's Doug Schauf with Remax Oceanside at MakeMaineYourHome.com. In this episode of the Make Maine Your Home podcast, I'm going to be sitting down with Jeff Long. He's an Arbonne consultant, and we just wanted to talk about being healthy. I recently did a 30-day healthy living challenge with Jeff, and he coached me through it, helped me through it. I lost some weight, I feel great, and I'm really excited to talk to him about it. So let's do this. Hey guys, I'm here with Jeff Long, and I'm really excited to talk to Jeff. I'm on a tail end of a 30-day healthy day living me and my wife did, and Jeff Long has been guiding us through that. I'm really excited to talk to Jeff, and he's an Arbonne consultant, both him and his wife. Before we get into all that, I'd love to just learn a little bit more about you. So first of all, thanks for coming, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this will be fun.
Absolutely.
So let's learn a little bit more about you first, and then we'll jump into the healthy living and how great we all feel.
All right. What do you want to know?
Where are you from?
I am from Standish, Maine originally.
That's right. I actually knew that because you grew up right in the same area
Bonnie
as
Eagle Pond.
my sister. Yeah, Bonnie
Yeah.
Eagle Pond.
Yeah.
I love that pond, man.
Well, now.
Yeah.
When we were kids, not so much.
No. Well, tell me about that. What was it like growing up near the pond?
Oh, well, this was before the EPA had a lot of regulations about where your sewage went.
Oh, yes.
So,
yes.
yeah, the pond got really nasty for a period of time.
Right.
Yeah. It's a great way to start out a
Well,
podcast.
yeah,
by the
that's
way.
no.
I'm talking about sewage.
No, this is good. This is kind of funny actually because my kids swim in that pond now.
Yeah, well, we used to, and if you had white shorts, they didn't come out white.
Really?
So,
Oh, it was that bad?
It was that bad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of ponds in Maine, across the country, were like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
But it's cleaned up a lot since.
It's a great pond. Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. But I didn't grow up near too many lakes. So, the Great Lakes and all that stuff, but it wasn't nearly like what it is.
Yeah, that's not nearly as big as Bonnie Eagle Pond.
Yeah, right. But what was it like growing up? Because I know where your house is or where you grew up. I remember where you told me, and I see your sign, long the name on the mailbox.
On the mailbox, yeah. That belongs to my dad.
It is okay, good. So, what was it like growing up, on the pond and everything? I mean, did you guys have just free reign? Did they kind of, hey, go have some fun?
Yeah, we had free reign of the whole neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I mean, we could ride our bikes down around the pond, make a whole loop.
Right.
We used to collect bottles going around it as kids because apparently we had a lot of alcoholics in that area. So I mean, there was plenty of money to collect as a kid growing up.
Love it.
We could go down there and ice skate and swim and fish and all that stuff. You wouldn't eat anything you caught for sure, but
right.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And the river that used to feed it in, we used to. I mean, as kids, we would go out in the backwoods and spend time on that river. We'd dam that river up just so we could actually catch fish.
Yeah.
And then, spring would come by and ruin it, or the beaver would help, whatever it took. But, I mean, we used to have fires and stuff out there in the woods. I mean, it was a lot of fun growing up in that area as a kid. And, of course, we grew up in that time when you got home from school, you did whatever chores you had to do, and you disappeared until dinner time.
Gone. Yeah.
And that was usually when it was dark, or 6 o'clock or whatever.
Right.
Of course, in the winter it's dark at 4.
Yeah, sure.
But that was literally, growing up as kids, and I had cousins and stuff that lived around. I had friends who lived
you did. So you had a lot of family right in that area.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Now, was there at least now, it doesn't seem like there's a ton of year-round houses around there, though. At least on the water, it looks like a lot of little cottages. Is it?
Oh, there were always a lot of summer.
Just summer homes.
Yeah,
Okay,
just
gotcha.
summer homes.
Right. Yeah. So in the winter, it kind of clears out.
Yeah.
Nice.
It'd be fairly dead during the winter, but
Right.
From that, down where it curved around by the lake, all the way up the rest of the road was all, year round.
Right.
So,
okay.
Yeah. And
cool.
A lot of the camp roads had several year round people. Once you got on the lake, it was a lot of just
summer people. Yeah. All the little cottages. Yeah, a lot of them are still there, of course. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So you grew up there. What happened after high school? Did you go
after
away
high
at all?
school? Well, I did briefly. I moved to Arizona to go to school.
Nice.
I didn't like that. I started writing a girl. I ended up moving home because of that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you still had a lot of ties back here and all that.
Yes.
So how long did you last in Arizona?
Oh geez, 3 or 4 months, I think.
Oh, that's all.
Oh yeah, it was pretty brief.
Yeah.
You know, I lived, you know, I grew up on Bonnie Eagle Pond, where you could go out at night, never worry about your kids, and move to a place where I was across from a park where they were flying around with helicopters every night and spotlights looking for the drug dealers and the knifers and the rapists. So I mean, it was it was very different. Yeah. So I mean, there was no real attraction for that. I mean, my wife and I love Arizona because we travel there once a year now. But it was way different, like the clip of Arizona I got then. You know
gotcha.
There was nothing really attractive about it.
Right.
It was a little bit fun, but
the
girl I started writing was my wife, so.
Oh, good.
Yeah, okay. So it worked out.
It worked out well. Yeah. Good. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So did you end up finishing school or?
No, actually.
Me neither.
That's perfect. You know, who needs college?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a funny story. Funny for me, you know, maybe not for everybody else, but I moved back and I went to work for, I think, handyman or something like that at the time, because I was just trying to find employment. And,
right.
You know, it wasn't that
something.
It wasn't that easy to find employment, but I wasn't moving back in with my parents. I didn't want to live at home, so I needed a job.
Right.
And I was planning to go back to school, so I found a job at handyman, and then I had an opportunity to go apprentice with my father at a company in Scarborough which made cleaning products. So I went and worked with him for like 3 years there. I didn't end up going back to college, and he and I started our own business back in '93,
nice.
manufacturing cleaning products.
Okay.
So did that for 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And is that the business that's still going? Or you sold it
yeah.
recently
So
or something?
actually, I sold that a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it was about 3 years ago, and it was just after starting Arbonne when I decided, you know, enough was enough of owning this brick and mortar business and being tied down. Because I mean, literally, for us to take a vacation, I'd have to kill myself to go on vacation, then come back and would have to kill myself making up all that time. So it was, you couldn't really travel and get away from work.
Yeah.
So.
That makes it hard on everything.
It does.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think the first 7 years of owning that business, I didn't vacation at all. So, I mean, that ate up a lot of time in life.
Sure.
And I just finally got to that point where I was tired of that lifestyle. And so I just, I said to my father, who was still my partner, he was 76 at the time, and I just said, look, in 3 years I'm done. We're either selling or I'm walking away.
Oh, wow. And
I said, you're either on board or you're doing this on your own. And he says, nah, I'm 76. I'll be ready to retire. I'm like, perfect. So we worked it out. It was, you know, it wasn't something where I forced my father. I actually said, you know, you don't feel like I'm forcing you out, because that was important. You know, the only way I was getting out of that was to make sure he was taken care of. And fortunately, one of my clients, I mean, we spent 25 years building a really strong business built around just strong principles of doing right by the customers, making the best quality products we could, having awesome customer service. And that was something that our customers really got to know and love. And one of my customers said to me, who we were doing some toll blending for and manufacturing their own private label brand, said to me, geez, one day I might buy you. And I go, it just happens I'm for sale. And it worked out. So
that's awesome.
yeah, they took care of my dad, so I didn't have to worry about him. And I'm working with them probably for about the next 5 years just to make sure everything goes well and that they see the success they want, because my buyout really comes on the backside of it.
Gotcha.
So it's important for me to see that side be successful.
Right, see it through, make sure. Make sure it goes. Right.
My world is very different now.
That's awesome.
There's no more stress of tax time, and I can go on vacation as a crew of guys that do what I used to do.
Yeah.
So all that stuff that was like
it seems like a big weight off your shoulder.
Oh, huge.
Like, that's amazing. Yeah.
You know, you go sign on like a new car and you get this sinking feeling in your gut because you're like, oh, I got this payment. Or you sign on a house and you got this payment. You know, you get that sinking feeling. When I sold the business, there was no sinking feeling. It was signed, and it was just like it was the right thing.
Right. It's like get to take a breath.
Yeah. And you know, the beauty of it is, even though, you know, like there was some turmoil in just the transition, the people who bought me have the right mindset and the right ideals and goals, so that like that legacy will still live on, and having that quality product in that service. So
that seems like a perfect fit.
It is. It is. And,
Awesome.
and trust me, it's not smooth putting all that stuff together, and there's like new systems and stuff like that are all being implemented, and that's that's a little bit of a trial. I love my customers because even though it's been a nuisance going through it, on the backside of this, it will be better for them in the future. For one, I was going to be done in 3 years.
Right.
This keeps it going. You know what I mean? So that was one thing that's really huge. But just the fact that they've stuck by me and stuck with us through all this, and we're just now coming to that backside where everything's starting to go so smooth and so nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So like we're in a great place.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm very happy about that.
All right, great, man. That sounds like a perfect fit, and everything's kind of going good on that side of things. So let's talk a little bit about how you became an Arbonne consultant.
Okay.
And started living your life in a healthier way, because I know your story a little bit. It sounds like you weren't the healthiest human beings for a long time, like most of us.
Oh, absolutely.
So why don't you tell me a little bit from like a health perspective? What were you like, before Arbonne, and how did you kind of get into becoming more healthy?
Oh, before Arbonne, I was what the regular world calls normal.
Yes.
So I ate fast food. I wouldn't say ho-hos in the cupboard, but occasional Twinkies. I didn't think anything about what I ate. I was one of those guys that never really had a weight issue, even though because of Arbonne I lost over 20 pounds.
Oh, nice.
But I never had a weight issue.
Okay.
Because I was always so active. I was always like constantly on the go,
right.
burning calories. I probably
so you were burning enough that you weren't.
That I wasn't having that real weight issue, but.
Right.
I was getting to that point in my life where I was starting to feel old and run down and ragged. I mean, I suffered with 20 years of chronic fatigue, so I was always tired. And that was, every time I'd go see the doctor, that would be like the theme.
Right.
It would be usually a cold or something that would bring me there because everybody avoids the doctor.
Sure.
And while I was there, he'd be like, well, how's everything else? And I'd be like, well, everything else is all right, except I've got this rash, or I'm run down, or my knees hurt all the time, or stuff like that. And it would be blood work and blood tests and sleep apnea tests and all this stuff. And finally, it was like, here's a cream for that. Drink more coffee because I don't know what to tell you about the tiredness thing, and I've never drank coffee, So,
oh, wow.
So that led me to Monster Energy drinks. So, amongst eating a lot of bad stuff and the Monster Energy drinks, I was starting to really feel beat up and worn out, and so because of that and the fact that the way my job was in owning my business, I really owned a job in this case because I was doing most of the manufacturing myself. And because of that,
a lot of stress involved.
It was a lot of stress, but it was a lot of stress on the body, and I was getting to a point where physically it was dragging me down. So at this point, my wife and I got a gym membership. We started working out. We started doing what normal people do when they decide to diet. Cut out the fast food. You don't eat it as much. Maybe not so much red meat because you hear how bad that is for you. Cut out the all the junk stuff and start eating more salads and things like that, but it wasn't helping.
Gotcha.
I wasn't feeling a difference. And then I think it was probably 5 years ago now, maybe just a little bit more, a little bit less, that I just finished. There's this other company in Gorham where our business was, who's a competitor of ours, but we're real friendly competitors and share a lot of stuff together. Mm-hmm. And I just finished loading some stuff in my truck, and all of a sudden I get this shooting pain in the jaw. I got lightheaded. I felt like I just felt really sick and really bad, really fast. My heart rate was all over the place.
Wow.
And I called my wife and I said, I think I'm having a heart attack. And she said, do you want to go to the quick care? And I'm like, I'm going to go have lunch first. And because that's what guys do, we want to make sure we're dying before we actually go to the hospital
and have a sandwich.
Exactly, because anything else is a waste of time. So I had a lot to do that day. So I went back to work, and our business was one of those. We were in a multi-unit building, and other people would come over and have lunch with us from our businesses. So we had that nice little community. And I'm eating lunch, and they're like, "You all right?" And I'm like, "No, I feel like I'm dying." Mm. And so I called up my wife and I said, all right, I'm going to the quick care. She's like, I'll meet you there. So I get to the quick care. They don't find anything. By then it had subsided.
Interesting.
And they said, we don't know what to tell you. Call your doctor. So I call my doctor on Monday. I go in and see him, and he says, if this happens again, I want you to take a ride in an ambulance, call them because they can get you on a monitor quick.
Oh, gotcha.
Don't waste any time, and
don't go have lunch.
Exactly. Don't go have lunch, and
Right.
we'll have you see a specialist. Also, so about a week goes by, and I'm an avid paintball player. I have been for 30 years, or actually going on like 33 years now, playing paintball.
Oh, nice.
And
we're going to have to talk about that before you go. Okay,
it's
go
a lot of fun. So if or at this point during the winter time, we were also playing airsoft because paint makes a mess out of your good winter clothes.
Okay,
Airsoft doesn't, but we still get to go out and shoot each other because we like to do that as friends.
Okay.
Friends shoot each other.
Yeah, why not?
So exactly. So I'm cleaning up these airsoft guns, getting them ready to roll, and my wife's making this awesome dinner, and all of a sudden I start getting that feeling again, and I'm like, all right, Lynn's making dinner, so. We'll just get through dinner. So
there's a theme going here, Jim.
Yeah, I'm stupid. That's the theme. So I said, so I eat dinner and I look at her and I go, all right, we need to go to the hospital now. And she goes, are you sentence enhancer kidding me? And I'm like, no, we really need to go. And we didn't call the ambulance because, again, I didn't die the last time. I probably wasn't dying this time, but we go in, and they get us on get me on a heart rate monitor, and they start running all the tests because my heart is like all over the place.
Oh, wow.
And they end up putting me on aspirin. They said, we don't see where you had a heart attack, but you need to see a specialist. So I go home that whole week. I am like all over the place. I felt awful. I was pretty sure I was dying, and who knows what part of that was my own brain telling me I'm dying.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah. At that point, your nerves start going.
Exactly.
The anxiety,
I'm killing myself at this point.
Exactly,
There's nothing. At this point, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm killing myself.
Right.
And so I end up seeing a specialist, and come to find out, it's not a heart issue. It's a gut issue. So long story short.
Oh wow.
Monster Energy drinks were killing my gut. Even though we were eating more healthy, that was still not as healthy as we could have.
Did they find like ulcers and stuff, or like
no,
on the brain type thing?
No, he just said that I suffer from esophageal spasms, which is recurring.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, kind of like
Exactly, and you don't get like heartburn, but instead you get like this real shooting pain in your chest is like a warning, and then you get this huge pain in your jaw.
Yeah.
And then your heart's all over the place because it affects all your heart muscles.
Right, because it's all right.
It burns a hole in the liner and such.
I've never had it that bad, but I've certainly experienced the little flutters there, and I'm kind of like, ooh, what the heck is that?
Yeah, I'd have it so bad I couldn't talk.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So at this point I get put on a prescription drug, which he said you'll probably be on this for the rest of your life. That was omeprazole, and I'm not a prescription guy by any means, because I know that usually there's a side effect to that. As much as I didn't want to change my health, I pay attention. Yeah. So these are certain things that I just kind of already knew going in that, all right, this is not going to be good for me long term. So the good news is I do a lot of networking, and I happen to know an Arbonne consultant, and she was always talking about this healthy living stuff. And of course, all the years that I got to know Arbonne, it was always skincare or makeup or things like that. It was more a.
That's funny because you and I really have never talked about skincare too much.
Yeah, exactly.
We talk about what we're eating, but anyway, go ahead.
So I mean, that's where Arbonne was started, and then in 2011 they launched this amazing nutrition system, and that was based on a lot of studies, but it was designed by a doctor who had a PhD in nutrition. It was based on the China study, which was eliminating like allergens from your diet, or talked about a lot of allergens that are out there and such in the China study. It's a very interesting read if you ever have the chance to. A little boring too, but it really gives you an understanding of how we can prove through history how what we eat and put in our body actually does affect us in the ways that it does. And we now live in a country where 50% of us will die of either heart disease or cancer.
Right.
And that's statistically. So I knew
that's a good point.
So I know that standard medicine is not my route here, because if I go the routes of standard medicine, I'm still going to be sick. I'll just be taking a drug to take care of that. So
now, did the doctor at all talk about diet with you, or was it really just a, hey, isn't that interesting how that happens? I mean,
there's a shift coming, and you see it. I've talked to some doctors who they're really starting to realize that, okay, maybe our way of doing things, or the way that it's always been, needs to change. Mm-hmm. But the problem is people put too much faith in the industry that is really controlled by the pharmaceutical industry. When you read back to the roots of all of what goes on in medicine today, it all goes back to pharmaceutical.
Right.
They really guide everything. Like the China study is not peer reviewed.
Right.
Nobody will peer review the China study because he became a heretic in that industry. He was a doctor, and he became a heretic because he knew that there was a better way to heal yourself.
Right.
And it wasn't the pharmaceutical way. It was through nutrition and diet. There's no money in nutrition and diet, at least not for the pharmaceutical industry.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So, it's when I see people who get into that system and then they're sick their entire life, they're on medication their entire life.
Which is a lot of people, unfortunately.
Which is the majority of people in this country. Mm-hmm. They're, especially in their older years, they're either on high blood pressure, cholesterol medicine, or they're battling cancer, or they're battling, whatever they've accumulated in their bodies over those years are starting to culminate into these sicknesses that just, here's a pill for.
Right.
When all's in many cases it takes is just changing your diet and eating healthier. So I knew this kind of going in, and a little bit, not a lot, but enough that I knew better.
Enough that you were like, hey, I don't want to take meds for the rest of my life.
I don't want to be that person.
I would probably be the same way. I mean, I don't like taking prescriptions either. I mean, the 1 week, or something like that is fine.
Yeah.
An antibiotic here and there, but it's like if somebody told me you got to take it for the rest of your life. Yeah.
If you get an infection,
we're too young for that.
Yeah, exactly. And if you get an infection, you need an antibacterial, or you need to take what do they call that stuff?
Like penicillin, amoxicillin, that kind of stuff.
And there's an actual word for that. This is a quiz.
The antibiotic?
Antibiotic, thank you, yes. Brain cramp. You need that stuff, but I knew I didn't need to be on omeprazole my whole life. So I reached out to the Arbonne consultant who happened to suffer from the same thing before Arbonne.
Oh, interesting.
And she set us up with one of their products, which is a product called Digestion Plus, which is one that you've used in the plan.
Yeah, I know it well.
Yeah, and I heard you guys didn't, that mixed with water, right?
No, we didn't, but I gotta admit, because I think the first time I tried it, I put it right in the shake, and we'll talk more about that stuff, in a little bit, but I put it right in the shake, and I wasn't a huge fan of it. And then we, saw somebody online talk about you just, drink it with water in the morning.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that every morning.
Have you?
And,
how do you like it with the water? Because I don't do it with the water.
Oh, you don't?
No, I mix it with a fizz if I have to. If I can't put it in my shake, I mix it with a fizz.
Well, I'm kind of one of those guys that I always look at things like that, like, it's only going to take like 5 seconds. I mean, I can suffer through anything for 5 seconds, So I got to admit, like the first few days, it was really kind of like, but now I don't necessarily like love it right now. Yeah. But I get it down, and it's no big deal anymore.
Here's the funny thing: is have you tried putting it back in your shake? Because
maybe I should.
Because maybe it was just an adjustment to having the shakes, maybe you blame that.
That's a good point, because it was like the first time I had a shake too. So it's like I gotta take something out of this.
Yeah. Because I started adding it to my shakes because you used to be able to put it on your tongue.
Yeah.
But Arbonne's a very clean company, and we have like 2,000 ingredients we will not manufacture with. So if there's anything that even spikes a concern out there that it could be bad for you, Arbonne will formulate it out or avoid it or whatever it takes to be the healthiest company that is out there. That's really our mission and our goal. So the product used to have maltodextrin in it, so you used to be able to put it on your tongue, but maltodextrin has a bad name because it comes from corn, and most corn is genetically modified. Well, Arbonne doesn't use any genetically modified products. they would use non-GMO source. So it wasn't bad for you, but it has a bad name. Right. So you can't put it on your tongue anymore because they formulated out the maltodextrin. So I started to have to add it to my shake. Yeah, that's why Arbonne Consultants exists. You reach out to us, we make it better for you, because the whole idea is to not have to suffer through anything or to choke anything down. It's to enjoy it and to see the benefits. Yeah. So.
No, it's funny because that's the only product that I was like, well, somebody said to just freaking like shoot it. And I'm like, all right, I've been shooting it for almost 30 days now. And it's like, I'm used to it now. Yeah, but I'll try it back.
Yeah, try it back. I've tried the shooting. No.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like taking a shot. You kind of like,
trust me, I'm like you. I hate if I don't like it, I don't want it, and I avoid it. So so anyways, I reached out to my consultant. She put me on that product, and instantly, I was like, within a week, I was off from Episil.
Isn't that awesome? Now, if I understand that product right, it's like a probiotic and a prebiotic type thing, kind of like all in one, right?
So it's a probiotic, prebiotic, and 11 digestive enzymes.
All natural, organic is the buzzword.
Yeah. So like Arbonne only sources from the cleanest ingredients they can get. So there's in this country we have organic, and there are many different levels of organic, and across the world they have what's called pure soil practices. And pure soil practices is a step above organic, and what that is there's like, so for a number of years you're not allowed to have any contaminants within the soil. The soil actually has to be clean, so that way there you know that you're getting the cleanest product possible. Here in this country, our government loves to let you get away with certain things because they want to allow big business to compete. So if we take away, if we take away the food industry from big business, there's a lot of money to be lost there. So our government is very pro-business, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Rightly so. But, they let the market do what it can. But I understand. Yeah.
But it's only a good thing if there's full transparency. And that's the problem, is there isn't a lot of full transparency in this country. So so anyways, yes, we source from the cleanest ingredients. We really were founded on the principles of pure, safe, and beneficial, and we're a 40-year-old company coming up this year. And so we've always been like that. That's never changed. We're a vegan company. I'm not a vegan personally, but when you think about like skincare and stuff, one of our founding principles in our skincare and all the products that we use on our body is about absorption. That it takes 26 seconds or less for whatever you put on your skin to absorb into your blood. So if you've got byproducts that have animal byproducts in them, you now have everything the animals have eaten. And today that equals genetic modification, that equals the antibiotics. 80% of the antibiotics in this country go to livestock to keep them alive because we feed most of them corn. So all this stuff's kind of like a slippery slope. So
so you're either ingesting or putting on your skin all that bad stuff.
Exactly. So you're bringing it in. So along comes our nutrition program because we realize that's going on. So, if you disinfect this table and I rub my arm on it, that ends up in my blood, right? So, and that's meant to kill living organisms. So that ends up in my blood. The stuff that we inhale, the stuff that comes in our water or our drinks, the stuff that's in our food, all the stuff that we call toxins, that are only called that because our body can't process them or burn them as fuel, right? So all these things end up coming into our system, and what causes a lot of issues that we have in our society these days is the fact that our livers can't keep up with, and our kidneys can't keep up with processing all the toxins. So guys will start, we'll hit our 30s and our metabolism changes as part of it, plus we can't flush all those toxins out, and we get this little ring of fat around our gut. Or we're feeling run down or tired or we're bloated, or all these different things are going on, and it's caused from the foods that we're putting in our body. And because of what we've done through genetic modification, which, Monsanto, for example, is one of the hugest offenders in this country of genetically modifying everything. The problem is we don't know what took us years, thousands and millions of years of developing to the diet we have today. We don't know what that genetic modification is going to do.
Not enough time to figure that out.
So, I don't want that stuff in my body. All I know is my body picks up on it and realizes it's an issue. The genetic modification that we allows also a lot more pesticides to be sprayed on stuff, and glyphosate is the number one ingredient in pesticides, and it's now been proven to be cancerous.
Oh, wow.
So all that stuff's in our food. So these are all the reasons that I was drawn to Arbonne. So when I did the 30-day program, I went in kicking and screaming like you.
Is that what got you started in Arbonne?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Okay, so it was like, hey, you got to do the 30
well, yes and no.
Or you should.
Yes and no. One, I really loved the culture. I really loved their philosophies, and I was really getting sick of where I was at, right? So this was kind of all happening at the same time. There was like a lot of moving pieces.
Right.
But before I had done the 30-day to healthy living, we'll step back about a year. I was doing the Digestion Plus. My wife and I were...
Oh, so you started that, okay.
Yeah. So I didn't start the program,
right?
But we were using some of the products.
Yeah.
So we were using that whey protein part of that we could buy at Sam's Club that you would choke down because it was so disgusting.
Sure.
So we switched over to the Arbonne protein part of it because it just took a little bit of education to realize that stuff was more beneficial
for
me.
You
that I was gonna,
that
I was actually getting.
So you were already like drinking shakes or whatever. And,
yes.
And you just decided to move on to the Arbonne shakes.
Yes, but I was still eating,
which are great. I gotta admit, I do like the shakes. They're awesome.
Yeah, they are awesome.
After my 30 days, or I'm coming close on it, I've become like I like them. I wake up, I was like, hey, that's what's for breakfast. Let's go.
I do 2 a day.
Yeah.
Because one, it's convenient, and they taste great.
Yeah.
But anyways, sorry, I don't know where this all come from in my throat.
That's all right.
You're choking me up, man.
Yeah.
So
we'll hug afterwards. It's
okay. Not on camera though. So anyways, so I was doing some of the products. I was trying to curb my addiction to the Monster Energy drinks because I knew they were bad for me. So I started doing the fizz sticks. So I was doing some of this stuff, but I hadn't leaped into the program.
Gotcha.
But at this point, I was also thinking about doing the Arbonne business with my wife because I could really see where just those differences were, where I could go make differences in other people's lives because I wasn't the only person suffering from this stuff, and I knew it. There were a lot of people around me who were suffering from it.
Well, I think probably most people are to a certain extent. I mean, just with the amount of crap that everybody eats.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
So you and your wife are consultants.
Yes.
So you guys have as a family, you have kids too, right?
We do, yes.
Yeah.
They're grown up now.
How many kids do you have?
We have a son who has 2 kids of his own now, and we have a daughter who is her 3rd year in college.
All right, great.
So Jordan. Yeah.
Are they pretty healthy eaters too?
My
osmosis
daughter, yes, because of osmosis. My son had moved out by this point because he had grown up.
Oh, okay.
So when we tried,
he wasn't part of that transition.
Exactly,
right.
And it's
or at least in the house with you.
It's unfortunate because it will take him more time to eventually realize society's making a shift. So there are different things.
Well, as an adult too, it's harder to adjust to anything.
Yeah, his wife has joined us in the business, so hopefully she will have that influence over time, and he'll start to see the benefit in that. Yeah. But you make a good point. I mean, what we do with our children, they're going to grow up, and that's what they're going to know, and they're going to learn.
Right.
We ate horribly. Our son grew up knowing that fast food was a thing. That's the norm. Fast food, eating out.
My kids get excited. Have McDonald's? Love it. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I mean mac and cheese, you name it. I mean all that boxed and processed food stuff was okay.
Yeah.
That's what we ate. So that's the way he grew up. So even though I pick on him for it from time to time, I realize it's not his fault. He's where I was a ways back. You know what I mean? But it took time for me.
It takes time. Yeah, absolutely.
It does, absolutely.
Yeah.
And he's a smart guy. He'll figure it out.
Right.
So,
so anyway, you took some time of just using products. That's interesting because you got me sucked in on the fizz stuff for a little while there. I love that stuff.
That's how I do it. You see me oftentimes around the playground. Hey kid, give this to your parents.
It's like I feel like I'm buying crack from you.
Exactly.
But all right, so you're using that stuff, kind of getting used to it.
Yeah.
Now, when you started using those products, did you shift your diet quite a bit as well? Or was it kind of like
At this point, our diet was shifting, so we were cutting out the fast food. At this point, I hadn't had fast food for like a year.
Okay. So you were eating healthier, not necessarily.
Exactly. We weren't eating toxin free.
Right.
We were eating healthy.
Right. Okay. All right. So then what happened there? Did you just decide like, hey, look, I really want to be helping people?
Yes, that was the decision, and I knew coming in that I had to do the program full on.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't, I couldn't share it. I couldn't share with somebody something I hadn't experienced. I won't tell you to do the shakes if I haven't done the shakes. I won't tell you the skincare will make you look younger if it hadn't already made me look younger.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just that's not, I have to believe in something in order to be able to share it, and I have to be all in.
Makes sense.
And so we did the 30-day healthy living program, and I was hoping that I would just get more energy, because even still, I was still dealing with like brain fog issues, with the 20 years of chronic fatigue that hadn't gone away, because we were still getting exposed to all this other aspects of our life that were still in our system. And I didn't understand why. I didn't know why. I wasn't sure. I knew my gut issue was cleared up, that I could get by without the Monster Energy drinks. I knew this stuff was going on. I knew that my protein powder tasted better, and that, according to science, I was getting more benefit from it, but I still felt run down.
Right.
And
still kind of sluggish and all that.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
exactly.
Yeah.
And we were working out. Like I said, we got that gym membership, but I still was 20 pounds heavier than I am today, and I still had that ring around my gut that wouldn't, no matter how much I worked out, go away. It just would not.
Right.
So going into the program, I honestly just had expectations that I was going to get more energy. That's all I wanted out of it, was more energy, because my sponsor, who brought me in, said that was one of the biggest things, the energy and the clarity. So that's all I wanted.
Right.
That was it. I started the program. 10 days in, I was down 10 pounds, or 12 days in, I was down 10 pounds.
Yeah.
I lost 2 inches on my waist, so that ring around my waist was gone in that amount of time.
Right.
And the effects vary from people to people, and how closely you follow the program, obviously. And guys to women. Guys,
we've noticed that with me and my wife. Yeah.
Guys will shed weight so fast their wives will hate them.
Right.
And it's not fair.
It's exactly what happened.
But women will lose inches before they lose weight. So that's almost like the norm across the board, but not always the case. But it's almost, that's almost the norm. We're like two very different animals in that way.
Yeah, sure.
So around day 7, 8, or 9, I think, I felt like really blah as the toxins were being released out of my system. And then after that, I got like this amazing energy and clarity. I always suffered from adult acne. I brought a demonstration today, sitting right here. So if this camera gets a good enough clarity, you can see it. But it's because in this program, you cut out the allergens that cause most of the issues in our health and society. Dairy, gluten, corn. You cut out alcohol for 30 days, because the whole idea is to also balance the blood sugar, balance out your pH. And I know a lot of these things are like scary, and people think they can't do it. I'll tell you, if you can't give up something for 30 days, you're addicted to it.
Right.
And then you need to give it up, right? So and it's just to find out what you're allergic to, what causes the issues and the symptoms in your body. And for me, the trigger's dairy, right? And gluten. So, but I used to have to ice my knees every night. I had the worst knees, my back every night, and that cleared up. That went away. That no longer is an issue.
Wow.
My skin cleared up. My skin got stronger, my nails got stronger. All these things just changed in my body that I was like, all right, there's something bigger here.
Something's happening.
Yeah, there's something more than just this program at work, and it's really about what we're feeling our bodies with.
Right.
And what I tell people is, our program, you can do and live this way without Arbonne. You really can.
Right. Yeah, and I remember you telling me that right from the beginning. Yeah.
But it's very difficult to make all that stuff yourself. You know what I mean?
I could see.
So
that.
making 3 clean meals a day and all your snacks is hard to do. Detoxing the stuff out of your body takes more time. Arbonne makes it easier and simpler, and the company's philosophies and principles help me to share it, because I know that what I'm sharing with people are the cleanest things. And the other thing too that I love about our program is there's so much stuff out there about losing weight, getting healthier, and you go and you read the ingredients and you're like, okay, thank you for marketing to me, but all I have to do is read your ingredients to see that you really don't care about making me healthier. You just care about making me lose weight.
Shedding some pounds.
Exactly. And once I've shed the pounds, the cheap ingredients you filled this with are really not going to be beneficial for me over the long term. Or the other thing that I love is that people will invest all this money in stuff to make them healthier, and they don't get the results. What I love about Arbonne is it's a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee.
Right.
If you don't get the results you want, Arbonne doesn't ask, well, did you follow the program?
Right.
Or,
oh, that's right. Yeah. They're not going to give you a hassle.
Did you have a beer halfway through? Did you have a little dairy because you felt like it? They don't hassle you. They just give you back your money. We're really a relationship company, and the goal is to service the client.
Right.
And that's what I love about it. So people can go into this and risk absolutely nothing. It's a 30-day program. So you do it for 30 days. You have 45 days to decide if you got what you want out of it.
Right.
And if you didn't, they give you back your money.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome.
It's really awesome.
I can certainly tell you're wicked passionate about this, and I think that's one of the things. Jeff and I met. What has it been? Probably 3, 4 years ago now.
It's got to be at least 3.
Yeah, in a networking group, and I was always drawn to you just because you were so passionate about the healthy eating, and quite honestly, at the time that we met, I was. I won't use names, but I was doing like one of those national televised, weight loss programs. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just to lose some weight, which for losing weight worked. I'll give them that. You know what I mean? I did lose weight, but I was always one of those guys. The energy. You know what I mean? It was like I'm one of those. After lunch, that 2:00. I borderline could like fall asleep standing up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From like 2 to 4.
Been there.
I'm like. Yeah. Oh, I got to do work, and that was always frustrating to me, and the funny story is, I've been talking to Jeff about this 30-day thing for the whole time I've known you.
Yeah, you told me I'd have to drag you kicking and screaming,
yes,
and I almost did.
Yeah, a few months ago, we had lunch together, and I said, Jeff, the only way you're going to get me to finally do this is you literally have to come over to my house, shackle me up, and feed me stuff. So the reason that I got into it was because, number one, I went to my wife and said, hey, I'm thinking of doing this, and she said, hey, I want to do it. And I was like, okay, now we're in.
Makes it easier.
Yeah, it was like, geez,
we do it as a couple.
If my wife's in, we're in. And I always took the approach like, hey, I can do anything for 30 days. It's not that long of a time frame, And Jeff has been awesome, just helping us through the whole process, the whole 9 yards. The products from Arbonne are great, easy to follow. I thought it was going to be super hard. It ended up being a lot easier than we thought. We worked really good together. Almost everything you just said in this whole thing was true. Yeah. Which was interesting. Like after the first 7 days, I kind of blah. And then it was like literally 8 or 9 days, all of a sudden, my energy is up the whole 9 yards. I feel great. The sustainable energy is what I like, all day long. I'm not falling asleep at my desk.
That's good. And I see your desk. You actually stand up. And
I do. I stand up. And I would fall asleep standing up. Yeah.
That can be hazardous.
Yeah. Why don't we talk, just to maybe end on a note, why don't we talk about maybe a sample day of what the 30-day is like?
That's great.
I can kind of tell a little bit about what we do on a daily basis, and then maybe what you do to give us better tips. So maybe I'll start by saying what I do, and then you can maybe either correct or advise, things like that. So I get up, and like we talked about before, I shoot that stuff. That's like almost the first thing I do, aside from drinking some water to kind of, splash some water on my face, all that. I shoot that stuff. And then I have the detox tea, get one of those going. And, I sip on that, I drink that. I don't eat anything until after I'm kind of alert and awake and all that stuff. And then I have a shake, and I've kind of liked both vanilla and chocolate mixed together, fruit and all that kind of stuff.
My wife loves it that way.
Yeah, almond milk.
I'm more a plain vanilla guy.
Are you? Yeah.
Always have been, but I love it with strawberries.
Yeah, I would side towards the vanilla, but I've been doing both together, and it's just it's kind of fun. I got a wicked sweet tooth though, so the chocolate kind of helps out a little bit to cure that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I have that shake.
It is low glycemic, by the way, so it's okay that you have sweet tooth.
Okay, good. So I have that shake, and then off I go. The only snack I'm a big mid-morning snacker, or I always have been, but I've reduced that down to I just eat a green apple at 10 o'clock or so. That's kind of my time where I'm like, okay, I'll eat this. Lunch comes around, I go home, I have another shake. And that time I'll throw some spinach in it and some other stuff just to kind of do that. My afternoon snacks are almonds, berries. We found these rice cakes, that are really good. maybe another green apple, those types of things. And then dinner, my wife's an awesome cook. Don't tell her I said that. But no, I'm just kidding. She's an awesome cook, and she'll make a clean meal for us where we can sit down and have a meal. And then later at night, I'll have another, one of the teas.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the basic day. How's your day go when you're on the 30-day detox?
Well,
what we call healthy living.
Well, we live like a 90-10 lifestyle anyways now because of it, because we realize the benefit in that. But we also like to have fun. We like to go out and hang out with our friends and do dinner out and stuff. So we just make wiser choices now, or at least I do. My wife can get away with certain things and not have it land on her skin. Me, not so much. Like, we went out to breakfast on Saturday, and I didn't ask for them not to put butter on it. So there was butter on my food, and I scraped it off, and it still landed on my face 2 days later. So that's how sensitive I am to it. I'm sensitive to gluten. It gives me a rash, and it makes my knees and back ache. But I can do it as long as I don't do it consistently.
Okay.
So that's kind of my 90-10 lifestyle. But when I'm on the 30 days, I'm very strict to it, because I'm on there for a reason. It's to clean my system completely out, reset, get a fresh start. But for the most part, between being on the detox and my regular lifestyle now, they're almost the same.
Okay.
So
you're living that life.
Yeah, I do. It's convenient. It tastes great, and I'm a creature of habit, so it's easier for me to follow that. So what a typical day looks like for me is I get up in the morning, I have my shake, I make that right away while I'm preparing my lunch for the day, because I always pack it and bring it with me, because there aren't a lot of good eating out options. If I eat out, I just try to make clean choices or go someplace there are a lot of restaurants that have you can get gluten-free bread now, you can get grass-fed.
I've noticed a lot of restaurants cater to, somewhat clean, eating.
Yes.
I'm sure it's not perfect because it's a restaurant, but I have noticed that almost every restaurant has some option.
Yeah, and a lot of them are starting to buy locally sourced too now. So there's a lot that, like I said, there's a shift coming. People are starting to realize that people want healthier options. So that's cool. So I have that shake. I mix myself up a fizz. I have it on my way wherever I'm heading that day.
Yeah.
And then mid-morning, Arbonne has protein bars, which I'll have one of those because it's convenient. Lunchtime, I'll have a shake usually, and some carrot sticks and hummus, or something clean for a snack to go with it.
Yeah.
In the afternoon, I have my green apple on the way home from work. Some almonds too. I do pack down a lot of food.
Nice.
That's one thing. You talk about the old program you were on. I bet you used to count calories with that, right?
Oh yeah.
And it was never about the ingredients. It was just about the calories.
No, it was always calories.
Yeah.
And
So
all that
points.
Stuff. Yeah. Exactly.
And with this, did you count any calories?
Never.
We
never looked.
You lost weight, right?
Yeah, exactly. That is a really good point, because me and my wife have never looked at calorie. We've never counted anything. We've never said, hey, how much of this can I eat?
Yeah.
It was always just about, is that organic? Is that clean?
Yeah.
And is it on the list?
Yeah.
Because you guys come up with a great list that we can go by.
I'm not knocking that program at all, and I'll tell you why. Because what they do at least get people in the habit of is having a habit.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the cool part.
Doing something. I agree.
It's changing.
It stopped me from going to McDonald's.
Exactly.
And that kind
it
of
starts
stuff.
to change the mindset, and that's important. So it brings the service, and we even can work in conjunction with that larger, well-known name brand.
Right.
If you don't know who it is, then Google large, well-known name brand where you count calories and. So, anyways,
that's funny. Yeah.
Is there a reason we can't say the name?
I don't know. I
so we don't advertise for them.
Exactly.
It's my podcast, not theirs.
Yeah, exactly.
You can come do a podcast with but anyways, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, and we can work in conjunction with that. But you don't have to count calories when you're putting the right fuels in your body. So, and then at night, my wife makes a clean meal. Sometimes we make stuff that we can have a couple of times a week. one thing I would like to put out there is that we have a Facebook group of our own, which is called Inspiring Wellness with Lynn and Jeff.
Yes.
And we really like to help motivate people with that. We share clean recipes all the time. We do a little marketing.
A lot of great stuff.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Little marketing, but not a lot.
You gotta make a living. It's okay.
We have to eat, so we like good food. So anyways. But it's really there to help serve and to bring value. So, anybody's welcome to that. It doesn't matter whether they're friends with us on Facebook. All they have to do is find us, Inspiring Wellness with Lynn and Jeff. And and
that's actually like a group too, right? You got to initiate.
It is a group.
Group.
Somebody asked to be in. Right. I will add them. And the reason we do that is because, sometimes people share their stories and they don't want them to go public for the whole world.
That's a good point.
So it's really to kind of keep that private for the people who join the group.
Right.
So.
And I'll put in the comments of wherever, if you're watching or listening to this, I'll put in the comments like how to find you and all that kind of stuff. I'll put your email in there so people can reach out to you and all that kind of stuff.
Very cool.
So well, this is great, man. I feel like we could probably spend another 2 hours talking about this. But I think we might lose some people.
I can always spend 2 more hours talking about me. You, maybe not so much.
Right. Exactly. Love it. I think this was great, man.
Awesome.
I really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it. When you reached out and said, I love your podcast, by the way.
Thank you.
And I actually watched one. I'm going to start watching some more because it really is interesting and fun and to learn about what other people do.
Yeah.
But when you reached out and said, Chris, you have your podcast and it's titled
Make Maine Your Home.
Make Maine Your Home. Thank you. I'm like, all right, how does that have to do with healthy living at all? And when I reached out and said, if you want to do a podcast about it, we sure can. But I get it now.
Everybody's got to be healthy. Even us Mainers.
Exactly. We want you to live in the home that Doug helps you get for a very long time.
For a long time. Exactly. Live there until you're 100.
Or live there a very short period of time. Call Doug, have him help you sell.
Exactly.
There we go. A little promoting.
Perfect.
So, thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for coming, man. Yeah. Hey, thank you. Hopefully this was helpful to you all. If comment below if you have any questions. In the description, you'll see Jeff Long's contact information. If you have any questions, he's happy to help in any way. Thanks, and remember, if you're going to make Maine your home, you don't have to do it alone.